CBS 12 News starts now with breaking news.
Breaking at 3, Dorian is now a hurricane. The storm now has 75-mile-an-hour winds as it makes a beeline for already ravaged Puerto Rico. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kristen Chapman. Right now, Dorian is expected to hit Florida as a Category 3 storm. CBS 12 News is the one to turn to for team coverage as Florida could feel the effects of the storm beginning Saturday. Let's get right to our chief storm track meteorologist, Aaron Christensen, with the latest track.
Kristen, the models are really starting to get excited about this now, and what they're latching onto is the fact that it's taken a little bit more of an easterly track. So it's moving across Puerto Rico, and that means it's going to have a longer time over the open waters. So that is going to make it intensify very, very quickly here. Already a Category 1 hurricane. Now it will continue to just skirt past Turks and Caicos as we head through Friday into Saturday morning. By Sunday morning, we see it packing 115-mile-per-hour winds as it strengthens to a Category 3. And now looking at a Category 3 landfall for Florida. Really anywhere along the east coast of Florida is fair game. We do still have this system sitting 1,000 miles away, so it's likely going to change a couple of times before we get to the weekend. But here's that system now as it moves directly over St. Croix. And a lot of our spaghetti plots taking it anywhere between Melbourne and Daytona Beach. Obviously could be as far south as our green track here to the south over West Palm, or as far north as even the Jacksonville area. But really kind of honing in on that Melbourne to Daytona area for now. Our European model, boy, bringing in very heavy rain, 7 to 8 inches worth across our area. There are other models that are scaling that back, though. We're going to take a look at those coming up in your full forecast. In addition to that, we are expecting tropical storm force winds. I'll tell you the timing, when to brace for those coming up.
Aaron, thank you. We're also getting the first images of Dorian's strength as that storm moves through the U.S. Virgin Islands. You can see the winds really blowing around those trees. This video from Martin Eek, our partners at the Weather Nation, as the then tropical storm moved through roads turned into rivers. All of this as more countries in the path of the storm prepare. These images out of the Dominican Republic as fishermen brace for impact by getting boats secured. CBS 12's Thomas Forrester continues our team coverage as we brace for afternoon storms here at home. He's in the Storm Tracker 12. Thomas, it looks pretty clear out there.
It certainly does, Kristen. I'm just going past the Hobe Sound exit on 95 North, and as you mentioned, it is actually beautiful out here. Sort of quiet before the storm. You can see traffic moving rather briskly. Everything is so far so good. No signs of rain, thunder, or anything like that. But we'll check in again by the bottom of the show to give you an update on where exactly I am now as I head toward deeper into the Treasure Coast. Until then, reporting live, I'm Thomas Forster in the Storm Tracker, CBS 12 News.
Thomas, thank you. And we already know of several stores sold out of water. So this is a photo from the Publix and Jupiter Farms from yesterday. You can see those shelves are just empty. We checked, they're still sold out right now. Local leaders telling residents to prepare right now.
Now, two factors may impact us. Heavy rainfall leading up to possible landfall of Dorian, and we've got king tide this weekend. If you require the county special needs shelter, just remember that you must pre-register for that service.
The mayor says to also have a hurricane kit, know your evacuation zone, and if you're told to evacuate, actually do it. Right now, Puerto Rico is under a state of emergency. The governor told hospitals and shelters to be ready. Forecasters warn of hurricane-force wind gusts across the island. President Trump has approved an emergency declaration for the island. Now, last year, CBS 12 News was the only local station to go to Puerto Rico to cover the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. You can watch our Emmy Award-winning stories on our website, cbs12.com. Just click on the Impact Puerto Rico section. Well, the husband of a woman killed in a plane that crashed into Lake Okeechobee earlier this year has now filed a wrongful death lawsuit. Heather Bridwell was one of 4 attorneys killed on a business flight back from Tampa. Attorneys for her husband, Jason Bridwell, say the crash could have been avoided. In the lawsuit, the attorneys allege the pilot, who was also killed in the crash, was inexperienced at flying that particular aircraft. It also states the plane had mechanical issues and had been flying off of its flight path. Plus, it says the pilot's medical certification was not up to date. Attorneys for the Bridwell family say they will pursue the maximum amount of damages possible. Meantime, a Texas school found apparently the perfect formula to improve test scores. A math teacher decided to use music videos to engage his students. CBS 12's morning anchor Ashley Glass shares how his effort helped turn around leadership at an elementary school in Fort Worth.
Get ready for school, cause it's everywhere. If you take a good whiff, it's all in the air.
Thomas Mayfield is willing to do just about anything for his students.
And our final estimate would be 47 what?
Mayfield has been teaching math at the Leadership Academy at Como Elementary for a year, a school in a predominantly black neighborhood where the median family income is less than $19,000 and more than 94% of the students are economically disadvantaged. Before Mayfield came on board, the school was at rock bottom. Attendance was low, disciplinary action high, and their test scores were so bad they'd received an F rating by the state.
If you do not get out of that hole, then yes, the state can decide to come in and take over your school.
So you guys were on the verge.
We were knocking on that door.
Don't stop, keep learning, you got more to prove.
Mayfield calculated by adding students and fellow teachers together in music videos, he could help kids love what they were learning.
There was a song that we first started out with, Drake had a song. I know way too many numbers here right now that I didn't know back then.
When you bust out like that,
Yeah.
what's the reaction you get from the kids?
Hey, mama, he know about Drake,
Trying to be more like Oprah with investments and mansions.
Principal Rhines also credits adding an extra hour to each school day and offering families more after-school programs to Como's transformation. To sum it up,
We just got the official results this morning. We are officially a B campus again this year.
You and all your friends, when you grow up, what you gonna do?
a school that they can say they are starting on a high note. For CBS 12 News, I'm Ashley Glass.
What a turnaround. All right, well, every day at this time we ask you the question of the day. Today's question, a recent survey found that about 1/3 of millennials could not identify the simple household object. What is it? So your first hint, it's not a spatula. Stay with us. We'll reveal the answer at the end of the newscast. The study on selfies, what it says about you if you always have a phone in your face. That's coming up in the Mashup. And trying to lose a few pounds, well, how much a new study says you should fast to get the best waistline. Our health headlines, the United States could soon lose its measles elimination status. Now this comes as the country has seen an outbreak of cases since September of last year. So far, more than 1,200 cases across Florida and 29 other states. A director at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention says there's a reasonable chance the U.S. will lose its measles elimination status in October. They say that's because of ongoing outbreaks in New York. And get this, the largest study of its kind finds healthy people who fast every other day actually experience significant health benefits. Austrian researchers found those who did fast had actual lower levels of cholesterol and less body fat. They even could lose more weight. Ahead at 3, how to catch a groper. A new pen goes on the market in Japan. How long before they all sell out?
Still ahead, where an angry gator was spotted in our area and what got them all heated in the Mashup.
And we are tracking Hurricane Dorian. We're going to take a county by county look at the timing of our tropical storm force winds and just which city could potentially pick up close to 10 inches worth of rain in our area.
Another look at our question of the day. A recent survey found that about 1/3 of millennials could not identify the simple household object. What is it? Your next hint? It's not a sewing machine. The answer, though, coming up next.
Stations, proud sponsors of the CBS 12 News Network, the one to turn to.
Trending today. Now, this might make some of you sad. Saturday Night Live cast member Leslie Jones is leaving the show. She joined the cast at age 47, making her the oldest person to join the show. Her addition to SNL also marked the first time the SNL cast had more than one African-American woman on the small screen. And then get this, a Japanese stamp maker created a stamp to discourage groping on public Japanese transportation. The stamp will allow victims of harassment to actually mark their assailants with invisible ink. Women in Japan have long looked for ways to stop sexual harassment on crowded trains and public transportation. So Only 500 stamps were made. They sold out within 30 minutes. Well, get this, a massive gator was caught in Martin County. Let's go to Ash with the mashup.
Guard gates at the Monarch Country Club, they were startled Tuesday night when a big gator popped up. They say the 8-foot gator got angry when it couldn't get in their guard shack. A Martin County Sheriff's deputy worked with a professional trapper to safely remove this uncooperative gator. Well, if you post a lot of selfies to social media, you might want to hear this, consider this. Psychologists at Washington State University worked with hundreds of Instagram users and found that people who posted a lot of selfies were seen as less likable. Not only that, they were seen as less successful, more insecure, and less open to new experiences. On the other hand, people who posted pictures of themselves taken by other people were seen as having higher self-esteem, being more adventurous, less lonely, more outgoing, more dependable, and more successful. All right, this flight was short but successful. Went nearly 500 feet in the air before sticking the landing in less than a minute. Starhopper is the first test prototype for a next-generation spacecraft. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk plans to use it to send people around the moon and to Mars in the next decade. Back to you.
Pretty cool. Well, trending in our consumer news now, Fitbit is hoping its latest smartwatch feature will bring in money. The company is rolling out a subscription service called Fitbit Premium. Fitbit says you'll be able to access thousands of workouts and even a health report that you can give your doctor. Fitbit Premium launches in September. The price tag, $9.99 a month. So 10 years after splitting up, the Marlboro family could soon have a reunion. Altrio, which sells Marlboro cigarettes and other tobacco brands in the U.S., says it's now in talks to merge with Philip Morris. The two companies separated in 2008, but the declining number of smokers could bring them back together. Both companies have been investing in alternatives to traditional cigarettes, including a major stake in vaping giant Juul. Okay, and I don't blame them. China is going crazy for Costco. The American retailer opened its first outlet in Shanghai yesterday. And look at those crowds. According to local reports, people stood in line for several hours just to get inside and buy things. I mean, that's pretty crazy. In fact, lines were so long, the store closed early. I will say, I don't blame them, Erin.
Right.
I don't blame them at all. Well, looking live now at St. Thomas, they're getting the brunt of the storm. You can see just how crazy it is already over there.
Yeah, tropical storm force winds. Of course, they've got the heavy rain, and we're likely in store for a good douse of that as well. Here's a look at our enhanced satellite imagery of this system as it moves through. Now, what has changed from last night? Because, gosh, this thing certainly escalated quickly, didn't it? Well, the track is a little farther to the east than what we were looking at even last night with the 11 p.m. update. So with that in mind, there isn't anything standing in Dorian's way to kind of slow it down. If it were to move west, or had it made its landfall between the Dominican Republic or perhaps directly over it, then it would have gotten shredded apart. Instead, look at this, that central pressure now below 1,000 millibars. So we know the center of this system is strengthening very rapidly. That's why it's already picked up hurricane status. But really, it's this stretch here where it's going to be given carte blanche to get even stronger, because it's just going to be sitting over the open warm waters here, and that is going to stoke the flames of this hurricane. That's why this came about. Seeing it making landfall and moving through the Bahamas even as a Category 3 hurricane with 115 mile per hour winds. Now, I will tell you, it's over 1,000 miles away, right? So we could potentially see this change a number of times before we get into that Monday time frame. And let me remind you what the cone of uncertainty means. Even though we're seeing that center line somewhere near the Space Coast, it could make landfall as far north as this white area or as far south as this one. That's a 200-mile discrepancy. So we're really going to have to wait a couple of days before we can hone in on exactly where we think this is going to make landfall. Here are all the spaghetti plots. We've got that Bermuda high, which is starting to shift a little farther to the west. We've got an area of low pressure over the Bahamas, and those two features are going to steer this thing over those warm ocean waters. So very low wind shear in that area as well. So it's not going to have anything that's going to trip it up, so to speak. As far as those forecast winds, Look at this. This is what concerns me. Monday, 1 a.m., we are seeing 70-mile-per-hour gusts, not sustained. These are the gusts. And we watch this really stretching out across the state by Monday afternoon. As far as the tropical storm force winds and the times of arrival right along the coast, I would expect them as early as Sunday night. Now, tropical storm force winds, meaning 40 miles per hour or stronger. 60% chance for Vero Beach, close to a 50% chance for the rest of us. As far as the rain is concerned, gosh, our GFS is only advertising maybe 2 to 3 inches worth of rain for us. But look at the European. This one has that heavy rain a little farther south, and we are possibly in store for 5 to 10 inches worth of rain with this system. The truth probably lies somewhere in between. We've been watching a few storms on the Treasure Coast now. We have no watches or warnings there to tell you about at this point. 92 degrees is what we're working with at the airport now. Feels close to 100 with all that moisture in the air. And more is on the way, still holding a 50% chance for storms tomorrow, 60% Friday, 40 Saturday, and back to 60 by Sunday.
Erin, thank you. And stay with CBS 12 News as Dorian churns in the Atlantic. Our team of meteorologists are working around the clock. They're constantly updating our website, doing those Facebook Lives, and sending out push alerts on our CBS 12 News app. Still ahead at 3, headed back home. The special send-off for the latest turtle released by the Loggerhead Marine Life Center. One more time, our question of the day. A recent survey found that about 1/3 of millennials could not identify this simple household object. What is it? Your last hint? It's not a vacuum. The answer is next. Our Sky Team 12 drone shot of the day. This video is from Carlin Park. CBS 12, the one to turn to. Very different story from what we're seeing here, though. We're still tracking the showers moving into our area. Our Thomas Forrester is in Port St. Lucie in our Storm Tracker 12, where the rain is finally starting to come down there. We'll have more on the storms moving in, as well as Hurricane Dorian on CBS 12 News at 5. In the 561, PGA Hall of Famer and Jupiter resident Greg Norman, he visited the Palm Beach Children's Hospital today. Norman toured the facility and met with children who are being treated there. The golf star posed for pictures, he signed autographs, and even handed out some gifts to patients. So sweet. And another sea turtle release. Willis the sea turtle is headed back to the wild. Loggerhead Marine Life Center released Willis this morning at Juno Beach. The juvenile loggerhead sea turtle was found at Florida Power and Light's St. Lucie site in pretty bad shape. But after 2 months of rehab, they say he is good to go now. So Little Debbie has ignited the great snack cake debate, and that's giving us something to talk about. Little Debbie ranked their delicious treats from legends to for the enlightened few. The top of the list, oatmeal cream pies, Christmas trees, Nutty Buddies, and Swiss rolls. There are also the You See It, You Want It, which has some of those classics. So what do you guys think? Anything missing? Ashley, let's start with you.
I love snack cakes. It's a problem. I think this list really nailed it too with the legends. The Swiss cake rolls, yes. Nutty Buddies, yes. My best friend since high school, Ginger Joyner, always had a pantry full of oatmeal cream pies. Thanks to her mom, Miss Kim, for that, by the way. All the kids were always at Ginger's house in part because the snack cakes there, they were really on point.
Okay, well, I know which house I want to go to. Erin, you?
I always liked the pumpkin delights. Now, obviously, they're seasonal. I like anything pumpkin. For those of you who know me, I love pumpkin flavored anything. And I always thought it was kind of neat how it had the eyes and the little mouth cut out, so it really looked like a jack-o'-lantern.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that sounds good to me. I'd try that. You guys, I'm going to have the unpopular opinion of the day. I've never bought any Little Debbie snacks before. I know. Don't get me wrong. I love treats, but if I want treats, I just make them at home. So okay. I'm sorry to all the Little Debbie fans out there, you included, Erin. But I guess you guys are going to have to tell me what's missing because I don't know. Okay. I'll try the pumpkin one. That's going to be on my list from here on out. All right, it's time now to answer our question of the day. A recent survey finds that about 1/3 of millennials could not identify this simple household object. What is it? Erin, what do you think?
I'll say a toilet plunger.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with answering machine. Let's see what it is. A butter knife.
What?
How do you not know what a butter knife is? I'm technically an elderly millennial. I don't even get that. All right, well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you again at 5.